Hey everybody, this is Jay at IFAST University, and today I'm going to talk to you about an in-service presentation that we saw in Bill's physical therapy room today. He had a physical therapy student who was supposed to present to a hypothetical patient information about reassuring them on why they're in pain, what specific things they have going on, and how he, the intern, was going to help fix those problems. And this is a really hard thing to do that looks easy when really good clinicians do it. So when you watch Bill do the rap, as he calls it, he's very concise and he tells just enough information in just the right way so that the patient can understand what's going on. So instead of giving too much information or talking in jargon, everything is very, very concise and understandable. And typically the physical therapy students have a bit of a hard time with this, and it's not really their fault. The student today did a pretty good job, although it's so clear seeing the difference between an experienced clinician and a new clinician. And seeing this kind of same thing on the coaching floor with our interns, and having gone through much of the same process myself in the last few years, becoming a more experienced coach, I just wanted to highlight two things that I think are relevant here. One is just experience, right? It's just trial and error, and the more experience you have, the more clients you work with, the more patients you work with, and the more times you get to practice your rap or your spiel or your shtick, you'll refine it. And it's kind of like a stand-up comedian doing their bit hundreds and hundreds of times in front of different audiences and honing it by like deleting this word or adding this word or working on the timing, and over many, many repetitions, it becomes a finished product that we see on TV and we think, oh man, this person is amazing. So, with my clients, I've been trying out some of the same stories, some of the same cues, the same analogies, and tinkering here and there, and using different words here and there. And all of this has allowed me to accumulate a vocabulary of cues, of stories, of images, of analogies that seem to work for me. And when interns come in, if they haven't had significant coaching experience, they typically don't have a vocabulary of cues and analogies and metaphors the way that I do. And it's not necessarily that they're bad coaches, it's just they don't have the experience. So experience alone and just repetition is going to solve a lot of this issue. But the second thing I want to highlight is I think that younger coaches are missing a really developed theory of mind. And what I mean by that is they are not really able to think about what the client is thinking or what the client is experiencing, because they're too caught up in what they're experiencing as the coach. And so they're too caught up in, am I seeing the right things? Am I going to use the right cue? Am I standing in the right place? Whatever it is, I think that there's a little bit of lack of empathy, right? And so I don't mean empathy in the sense of like you got to be able to comfort someone that is upset about their boyfriend or their job or something, even though that too is important as a coach. But what I mean by empathy is, can you really put yourself in the mind of the patient or the client who is in front of you and get a sense for what kind of intervention, what kind of cue, what kind of tone of voice, what kind of personality that they need from you in order to be able to unlock the behavior or intervention or change that you're asking of them, whether it's physical or emotional or behavioral. And there's a really cool TED Talk out there about theory of mind and children. And so I don't remember exactly the details, but it's something like if you ask, say, 3 or 4-year-old children, you tell them a story about you have, like, say, a toy, and you hide the toy in a red box, and then the person you're playing with walks out of the room, and then while they're out of the room, you take the toy from the red box and you put it in the blue box. And then the other person comes back in the room and you ask them where they're going to look for the toy. And up till a certain age, say like 2 or 3 or 4 years old, the children said that they're going to look for it in the red box, even though, I'm sorry, they're going to look for it in the blue box, even though there's no way that they would know that it was in the blue box, because you're the one who saw that it was in the blue box, but the other person didn't. And after a certain age, say like 5 or 6 years old, most children are able to answer this question correctly, right? And it's a really kind of cool example of how children's brains work, but it's not that different from the way that adults' brains work either. You know, we have there are coaches that are really, really good at feeling out people and understanding the elements of psychology that make them really great coaches. And you have other coaches that are really good at mechanics and stuff, but they're not as good at the human behavior and psychology stuff. So I think that, again, that's something that maybe just getting older and maturity will fix on its own. But maybe it's worth thinking about theory of mind and thinking about how can I develop some more tools to put myself in my client's shoes. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.